Hey guys, welcome back to another live stream. So this was a quick one, just a sudden live stream. I just decided to, record an economics multiple choice live stream. So I think some guys have their exams on 8th March, so that's coming soon. So I thought, why not have a look at some MCQs in today's live stream. So I've done the paper 2 live stream. You can go and have a look at that. But this one is the paper 1 live stream. So basically we'll have a look at multiple choice questions. So I'm starting off with the 2021 past papers, and I'm starting with Feb March. Okay, so I'm going to wait a bit, and then from there we'll just start. We'll go through each question, and like I've done a similar type of video, but that time I only did chapter 1, 2, 3. But now in this live stream, we'll have a look at like every question from question 1 to question 30. So I think let's just start. I don't think we need to wait for anyone, right? Okay, so let's begin. So first question says Sanjay is a risk taker and he sets up the restaurant in Chennai. And Sanjay is now working for a business as a chef. So he's working as a chef. So he is part of the labor, right? And then he leases basically means like rent, the restaurant building from Raghav. Okay, meaning he's basically taking a rent from Raghav, as in Raghav is getting money because of leasing his site. And then it says, and employs him to serve the customers. So the question right here, this is basically called the rewards of the factors of production. These are called the rewards of factors of production. Okay. And basically, we have to see which are the rewards for Sanjay and which are for Raghav. So I'm going to take the highlighter and show you which ones are where and how we get this. So the first thing, it says Sanjay is a risk taker. Okay, what that means is that something related to enterprise, because we know in the definition of enterprise, we know there's risk taking involved. So because of the enterprise, there will be profit. So it's either A, C, or D, because profits have to be there for Sanjay. After that, it says, and sets up a restaurant in Chennai. Okay, Sanjay works for the business. That's the next keyword. Sanjay is working for that business, meaning it's labor. Okay, and the reward for labor is wages. Okay, so it's profits and wages. Okay, profits and wages. And for Raghav, he is leasing the restaurant, meaning that is land, which means his reward will be rent. And finally, he's being employed. So because he's employed, he gets again he will get wages. So the answer is C. C is the best answer here. Okay, so quite straightforward. And okay, the next question is, a government reduces social security spending by 10 billion. So from social security spending 10 billion in order to increase the defense spending by 10 billion. So instead of doing spending on social security, they're spending on the defense. Okay, expansionary fiscal policy, no, it's not expansionary fiscal policy, because it's the same amount. Okay, before they used to spend 10 billion on social security, now they're spending that 10 billion for defense. So there's no government spending, because we know expansionary fiscal policy is basically when there is more government spending, but in this case there's no government spending because it's the same amount. So that's no. Market forces, there's nothing related to market forces, there's nothing related to demand, nothing related to supply, so no. Price stability, there's nothing related to price stability, because the price is again constant, nothing is happening to price. But the reallocation of resources is correct. So the answer would be the reallocation of resources, because the government is spending from, or is basically changing their expenditure from this to something else. So that's the reallocation of resources. Okay, so that is that. We move on to the next question. This question looks like it's on PPC. Yeah, you can see production possibility. It says the table shows the maximum production possibilities for goods and services for a country. So we have the goods and services, and basically this is called this is not the PPC, but this is just the PPC represented in a table. Okay, so it says the country originally produced only goods. Okay, so meaning they're only producing goods, so that time they had zero services, and the country then continues to operate with maximum production possibility, meaning every good is to be used. That's what the meaning of maximum production possibility means. It says what is the opportunity cost for this country. So from 100 million units, which is how many goods there were, it's then changing to 20 million services, meaning it's going down. And opportunity cost is basically the one that you've foregone, meaning the one that you've lost. So I've lost 20 million units of the goods, right? I've lost 20 million units of this good, and hence that will be my opportunity cost. Okay, so the opportunity cost will be the 20 million units of the goods. Okay, so that's how you would do that one. We move on. It says what is included in macroeconomics. So in economics, or even in the syllabus actually, we have two types of sectors or parts of economics. The first one is microeconomics. Microeconomics is when we look at the markets only in terms of the producers and the consumers. But in macroeconomics, we look at the entire economy. Okay, and this is done by the government. So let's have a look at this. This one's quite straightforward because this basically we know what's included in macroeconomics because we've learnt it in our syllabus. So let's see the changes of the causes of a change in price of one product. No, this is microeconomics. This is dealing with how the change in price of something will do to the consumers or something like that. This is microeconomics. Okay, so then we move on. This causes a market failure. Sorry, let me just, where is this? This causes a market failure. Market failure is again microeconomics. We've learned this in microeconomics in like chapter 2, I believe, chapter 1, chapter 2. The causes of determinants of price elasticities of supply. No. This is again, supply is microeconomics. And finally, the causes of economic growth. Yeah, this one is the answer. This is the answer. We move on. Question 5, it's basically asking us to say what is the advantage to a market economy in the allocation of resources. So what's the advantage of a market economy? First of all, what is a market economy? A market economy is when there's government intervention and also the producers and consumers. So meaning there's public sectors and private sectors, right? That is what the market economy is. So what is the advantage of this? So let's see in the allocation of resources. Okay, let's see. It ensures that all consumers are willing to pay the same price. Okay, no, this is wrong because even in a market economy, my bad. Market economy is the one where there's only private sectors. So meaning there's only producers and consumers. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, there's only producers and consumers. Okay, there's no government. So in this there's no government. Sorry about that. So there's no government. So it ensures that all consumers are willing to pay the same price. Not really, because there's no government, they can exploit the consumers if they have enough demand. So that's wrong. It fixes price based on the cost of production. This again is no, because it doesn't fix price because of cost of production. Okay, it's kind of random. If there's more demand, even if the cost of production is cheaper, they can still charge a lot of big price. It guarantees the suppliers will make profit. It's not a must. Okay, if there's no demand for that, it won't. It indicates the relative demand for goods and services. Yep, that's the answer. Because allocation of resources is basically you're allocating the resources, right? And the advantage of the market economy is that it will get to know what is the relative demand for goods. Okay, because how the producers work in this type of economy is that it's simple. If there's more demand for the product, just produce more. So by that I can get to know the demand levels in a country or the stuff like that. Okay, So that is the advantage. Which characteristic of a product will cause market failure? Market failure is basically when there is a failure for the allocation of resources. We know that. So what is which characteristics of a product will cause a market failure? Let's see. Information about the product is known equally by consumers and producers. No, it's actually if there was no information, that causes market failure. But this is the opposite, so no. The consumption of the product has no external benefits. So there's no external benefits. Okay, but that again is not market failure. Okay, that is not market failure. The product is non-rival and non-excludable. Yeah, non-rival, non-excludable. That's the answer. So take the highlighter, and the product is non-rival, non-excludable. Okay, meaning it has no competition. Okay, the production of the product has no external cost. Yeah, this doesn't really matter. Like, if it had external costs, then maybe that's market failure. Okay. Number seven says the diagram shows the market equilibrium E for a product X. The product X has a downward sloping demand curve. So downward sloping demand curve, upward sloping supply curve, and the price of the substitute good falls. So the substitute is falling. What happens when a substitute good falls? When the price of the substitute good falls, then everyone will switch to that good, right? Because the price falls. So for product X in this case, what will happen is the demand will reduce. First thing, demand will reduce. So we know when there's a reduction in demand, there will be it'll go downward. So in the slope, if this is the demand curve, it'll go down, contraction. So it's either C or D. But then it's saying the quantity can't be more, right? So it has to be less. So the answer is C, because the quantity cannot be more, right? Because for the price of the product X, if there is no demand, right, the quantity can't be higher. So the answer is C. We move on to the supply schedule, and we are supposed to calculate PES. To calculate PES, it's quite simple. The formula is basically the percentage change in quantity over the percentage change in price. This is the formula. So let's plug that in. We start off with quantity. So it's moving from $1 to $3. So the quantity is changing from 7 to all the way 3. Okay, so to change in anything is new minus original over original. So this is the new quantity. Original was 3, so over original, and I divide this by the change in price, which is 3 minus 1 over 1 times 100. Let's see, I'll just take my calculator 1 second, and I'll plug this in. So 7 minus 3 over 3 times 100, divide by 3 minus 1 over 1 times 100, and it is giving me 0.66 recurring, so the answer will be B. Okay, we move on. Number 9, which function does a central bank provide to the general public? A central bank and a commercial bank. We have two types of bank that you need to know for economics. So the difference between this, okay, central bank is the one that does the government expenditure, the one that issues currencies. Well, the commercial bank is the one that that you usually go to, right? That's the one where you deposit money, they give you advice for financial stuff, you can give loans, stuff like that. So the central bank will do anything relating to the entire economy because it's the main bank, okay? So when the commercial banks ever have debt, it's actually the central bank that has to give their money to the commercial banks. So let's see, which function does the central bank do? So let's see, accepting deposits. Accepting the deposits is done by the commercial bank. Issuing banknotes. Okay, now issuing banknotes, yeah, this is the one. Issuing banknotes. Okay, because a commercial bank cannot issue banknotes. But let's see the other one, making loans, commercial bank can do this. Providing overdrafts, commercial bank can do this. Providing overdraft is basically just a loan, just a type of loan. Okay, so it is like that. We move on. What might cause a rise in wages? rise in wages. We know rise in wages is maybe if the demand for the product increases, there will be increase in labor. So let's see. Number 10. So a more elastic supply of labor. More elastic supply, no, because elasticity basically deals with the responsiveness, right? So if it's more elastic, then it really won't be a rise in wages. An increase in the size of the labor force. So when there's so many people in the economy already working, then the people's value will already reduce because there's so many people, looking for jobs. So, why not lower the wages? Because some people, want to work. Improved fringe benefits. Fringe benefits is stuff like, giving holidays, stuff like that, the extra stuff. Those are called fringe benefits. Job security, working conditions. So improving that will not actually increase wages. So the answer is the introduction of national minimum wage. So let's say the economy is currently below the minimum wage. If there is a minimum wage, national minimum wage, then the wages would increase. Okay, so number 11, a national trade union wishes to increase the wages of its members without reducing the numbers employed. So the trade union, what do they want to do? They want to increase the wages, but at the same time, they do not want to reduce the numbers employed. So which factor would help the union to do this? Okay, so increase the wages, right? But at the same time, they don't want to reduce the numbers employed. So let's see this. Which factor would help this? The demand for the industry or the product is rising. Yes, because if there's more people, wanting their product, then they can say, this product is doing well. This product is making enough profit. Why not increase the wages? Hopefully you guys know what trade unions are, right? Trade unions are basically an organization that are together for the betterment of people. Basically working conditions, stuff like that. So the answer is A, right? The answer is A. We move on. So this is called a total cost curve, okay? And which is the average variable cost if the firm produces an output of OK. So they are producing at this point. What is the average variable cost? So you'll go up here and go up here. So it'll be basically this right here, XW or WX. So the answer is C. Okay. Basically, it's like this. This right here is how much they're producing. So of course, this much is how much they are, is their variable cost, how much they're spending. What will occur when there's a conglomerate merger? This is basically when a different stage of production and different type of good. Okay, so in this case, they can actually experiment with the different products without having a problem. So you can see that's called risk-bearing economies. So in this case, the answer would be an increased risk-bearing economies. Okay. What is the total revenue? What is total revenue? So total revenue is when I multiply the price of a good by the quantity sold. And remember, it's not profit, it's revenue. So we're not looking at our expenses. That's why it's just price times quantity sold. Okay. The next question, how would a state-owned oil refining firm, right? How will this firm be classified? So how the state-owned oil refining firm in a private sector, in a firm would be classified. So let's see. So because it's state-owned, that's the first keyword. It's state-owned, meaning it has to be a public sector, right? It has to be a public sector. And then it's oil refining. So because it's oil refining, that is in the secondary stage. It's not extraction of oil or nothing like that, but it's called oil refining. So that would be in the secondary sector. We know the primary sector. Primary sector is extraction of these raw resources. We then know the secondary sector. Secondary sector is when we're making those finished goods. Okay, so that's the difference right there. We move on. What is included in a government's budget? In the government's budget, okay, we have to look at two stuff: the expenditure versus the revenue. So already I know A is the answer because it says the balance of the government's revenue against the government's expenditure. It's quite straightforward. A country has rapidly increasing inflation. So there's increasing inflation in this economy. What is an example of a monetary policy which would reduce the problem? Now, monetary policy. Monetary policy deals with three stuff: money supply and interest rates. Okay, and then of course there's exchange rates, but not relevant in this question. Okay, but I'll just write it here. So exchange rates. Now, example of monetary policy. So any of these would be monetary policy. But we have two types of monetary policy: expansionary, contractionary. Expansionary monetary policy is when there's increase in money supply, reduce interest rate. But this question is just quite straightforward. It just says what's an example, and we can see interest rates here. So B is the answer. So B will be the answer. The next question right here. It says the diagram shows selected areas of a government spending for a country. What was the total government spending on merit goods? What are merit goods? Merit goods give the better for the society. So national defense. National defense, is it helping the society? Okay. National defense, is it helping the society? No. Education, yeah. And health, yeah. So I'll just add 36.4 plus 81.8, which will give me 118.2. So the answer will be C. Okay, national defense is not a merit good, right? Because it's not impacting the society. It is sort of, but again, look, it's looking at defense, right? So it's a tricky question, but you're looking at merit goods. It's a good, first of all, right? So yeah, the answer is C. You just add education and health together. The table shows consumer price index. Okay, so you can see it's going from here, it's increasing all the way. So it's increasing from here, but then from here it is decreasing. So for 4 to 5, the price is decreasing. So let's see. The prices fell between year 4 and year 5. Yeah, there you go. Exactly, that is the answer. Nothing from there. That's what the consumer price index tables usually show. It's usually dealing with the price, right? Move on to question 20. It says deflation is a sustained fall in the general price levels. So inflation is the increase. This one is the decrease. So what might cause a deflation? What might cause the prices to go lower? Okay, so let's see. Inefficient private capital investment. No, this would actually increase price levels. Yeah, because when there is less in private investments, then the cost of production will become more expensive, leading to an increase in the price level. Okay, loss of confidence in the government's economic policies. No, won't make a difference. Oh wait, sorry. Yeah, actually, yeah. Oh yeah, deflation. Yeah. Deflation, yes. Sorry, yeah. Loss of confidence in the government's economic policy. So, for example, if they don't do government spending, okay, because a good example for this question is one of the government's economic policy is what? Government spending, right? Which is fiscal policy, government spending. And we know government spending leads to more demand. We always know that every time there's government spending, there's more demand. So when there's no government spending, there'll be less demand, fall in price levels. Okay. We move on. Taxes charged 1.45% on all wages. All wages meaning it has to be proportional. Then it says to pay basic medical provision. So it's basic medical provision. This tax is on all the wages, and wages is an income. So because it's an income, it has to be direct. And hence the answer is A. It is direct and it is proportional. Direct taxes are ones, those are like on income tax, corporation tax, inheritance tax. Indirect tax is on stuff like VAT, customs duty, excise duty. That is what we call direct tax. So yeah, that's quite straightforward. The table shows some data about an economy. So the rate of inflation is 3.5, income is 2.5. So let's see. I think you can already tell from this, right, that the prices have rise because of inflation. So it has to be the prices rose. But you can see the income has fallen. because the change in income is very little to the change in the inflation. Okay, that's why we know the income will fall, because remember what happens in inflation: prices rise. If the price, for example, it was $100 for one product, it has got an inflation of 3.5%. If I actually calculate 3.5% of $100, I won't get a good whole number, will I? But it's basically 3.5, so it'll be 103.5 if there's inflation. But the change in the consumer's income is only 2.5. So if someone who would afford $100 will not afford it because the change in the income is so low. So the income has fallen, but the price has increased. So that's the reason. What is included in the consumer price index? This is quite simple. This is the base year. We've done this when talking about, I believe, inflation. So you can have a look at that video. All will be down in the description. We move on. It says which country is likely to have the highest standard of living? Okay, a place with the highest standard of living will have, first of all, highest life expectancy. Then will follow by a country that will have let's see, low death rates, and then birth rates and stuff like that. So I think it should be D. Okay, should be D. Okay, yeah, should be D. Which statement about poverty is correct? Absolute poverty occurs when the income falls below what is needed for survival. Yeah, exactly. Absolute poverty is literally coming from its name, absolute poverty. So we have two types of poverty, absolute and relative. Absolute poverty is when you don't even have enough money for just shelter, for example, or water or something like that. Relative poverty, on the other hand, is when you look at, the goods and services of all countries. Like if the product is already increasing in terms of price, then, and you don't have enough money to afford that, that is relative poverty. But for basic shelter, that is absolute poverty. The United Nations predicts that the population in low-income countries will increase. So low-income countries, their population is increasing. Okay, let's see. The climate change will lead to lower food output. Lower food output will lead to starvation, which will lead to death. So that will decrease the population. So that's wrong. Improved education for girls will lead to a small decline in birth rate. Now, even though, so the girls will get the knowledge and hence will, use this medication. So hence the birth rate will be low, which will lead to low population. Increasing number of people will migrate to high income. Again, this is low population because people are shifting from the country. So that's low population. Then modern medicine and sanitation will lead to a rapid decline in death rates. Rapid decline in death rates will mean more people will be alive, which will mean more population, right? So it's as simple as that. Next question, it says, which method of trade protection would enable domestic firms to lower their prices and undercut the price of imported goods? Okay, this is actually a subsidy. When I provide a subsidy, cost of production becomes cheaper, okay, which will lower the prices, okay, and hence that good will be relatively cheaper than those imported goods. Okay, so that's one. Tariff, no. Make it more expensive. Embargo, no. That, no. How might a multinational company directly benefit a host? So multinational company is basically when I, relocate to another country. It will create local employment. Because when I set up an MNC, it's giving more job opportunities in other countries. For example, McDonald's, it comes to this country, they will need McDonald's stuff, right? So hence the employment will increase. The last two questions. A country has a current account deficit on the balance of payments. Which measure is most likely to reduce this deficit? So it has a current account deficit. I need to reduce this deficit. How will I do this? Okay. Cut in interest rates, no. A cut in the rate of income tax, no again. But a depreciation of the exchange rate, yeah. So when it's having a balance of payments, remember balance of payments, every time they talk about balance of payments, it's usually because of exchange rates, because balance of payments talks about the exports imports. So that is C. A country experienced a deficit on each of its trades in goods, primary income and secondary income. Overall, it had a surplus on the current account of its balance of payments. What must it mean? So there was a surplus in a current account, not a floating exchange rate. When it has a surplus on current account of its balance of payments, that basically means it had a surplus on the trade it services. Yep, this is correct. It had a surplus on the government budget. Nope. It had was low income country. Nope. Okay, because it's literally saying the country experienced a deficit on each trade in its good. That itself will give you the answer. So there you go. That will mark the end of this live stream. A quick live stream, as I told you in the start. Just finish this paper, the entire paper, and hopefully this has helped you in your revision. Thank you for watching this video. Go and check the other videos for economics down in the description, and hopefully this video helped you, and I'll see you